Well, thanks for coming to this webinar, and I'm going to record my presentation right now. So as already mentioned, my name is Ivan Gratchev. I am the chair of these webinars that we have, these webinars in engineering education. I'm from Griffith Uni. I'm based on Gold Coast. We have different campuses. If you're not familiar with Griffith University, we have one campus on Gold Coast and one campus at Nathan, which is Brisbane. So I am from School of Engineering and Built Environment. And also I'm the WIL coordinator, which is Work Integrated Learning. I'm the coordinator here in our school. So I will talk more about what we're doing in terms of WIL, and that will be the topic of today's presentation. I would like to share this study we just started. So I will talk about the idea of the study, and we have also obtained some preliminary results. I would like to show you some results and also seek your feedback. So I want to see like what you think about what we've been doing in the past, I would say like several months. Okay, so the topic of today's presentation will be students' perceptions of industry placement. And I would like to start with a little bit of introduction of our research team. So at the end of last year, we received this research grant for Square. The title of the grant, it's shown here on the slide. It says identifying potential mismatches between students' perceptions of industry placements and the industry's perception of work integrated learning. So this is very, very long title. Sorry about that. We wanted like to show like what exactly this work is going to be about. So what we want to see is that what students think about industry before they actually start doing their placement, and what industry think about our students. And then we want to see if there is something similar or something different, something that we can identify. And then if this is something really big, we can actually go back, talk to our school and see how we can improve the experience of our students. And also, I would like to report our results nationally at a national conference, Square conference, which will actually be here on Gold Coast. Please come here. It will be in December. It will be in the, we do have it, SeaWorld. So this is like very nice park, theme parks. Many people go there with kids. So if you have time and if you'd like to present, please come to Gold Coast in December. So we have a few academics in this research team. I already introduced myself. So I'm from Griffith. We also have Simon Howell. So I think Simon, I'm not sure if he came to this presentation. Well, he's probably busy. Simon teaches a lot. Simon Howell, he's also from Griffith. He is first year coordinator on Gold Coast. And we have Hugo Espinoza. So he is also part of this grantee research team. He is also a first year coordinator, but at Nathan, as already mentioned, we have different campuses. So we have many students also at Nathan. We also have Andrew Bush. He is our deputy head of school, learning and teaching. He is our advisor. And we have Dr. Saeed Shairi. He is from Charles Sturt University, and Saeed is with us today. Very nice to have you here, Saeed. Thank you for joining this webinar. So Saeed, last year, he was academic lead, learning and teaching quality. I hope he is also leading this year as well. So this is our research team, and this is the title of our grant, so something that we've been working on. We started in January. We started in this probably in the middle of January, because typically January it's a holiday time here at Griffith. I'm not sure about our other universities. So I would like to briefly introduce to those who are not familiar with Griffith University what we have here. So in the final year for all students, doesn't matter what disciplines they actually do. So for all final year students, we have this course, which is called Industry Affiliates Program, IEP. So this course actually goes for 1 trimester. At Griffith, we have trimesters. We have 3 trimesters. So we have first trimester, we have certain number of students taking this course, and also second trimester. So you will see that I put here on the slide, we have students from different disciplines. So civil, mechanical, environmental, electrical, electronics, software, and we have also project management and construction management, which kind of new to the WIL, to the IEP course. So for this course, what we try to do, we try to place our students in the industry. So they actually work in the industry for 12 weeks. And at the same time, they collect data. Well, first of all, they gain some practical experience, they gain some industry experience, but also they collect some data, the data that they use to pass the course. It's not that they just work there and then we just let them pass. They actually need to write a thesis. So for these undergraduate students, they need to write 45 pages of thesis based on, so this is kind of like proper thesis when they have introduction, literature review, what else? Methodology, and then they also have their results and discussion part. So while working in the industry, they are required to collect some data, the one that they will use to analyze and write about in the thesis. So this is what we have at Griffith. And we work together with Charles Sturt University. So they also have, not similar, but they also have a WIL program. And the good thing about the WIL program is actually very different from ours. So we can look at similarities. We can compare, see what works for us and what works for them, maybe what doesn't work for us or for them. So they have slightly different setup. They run it for civil engineering students. And what they do, they have like first year of common courses. So like first year students on campus, they're doing courses and complete and pass the courses. And from year 2, they actually place in the industry. And this is what they call placement. And they need to have 4 total placements. So they don't have to work in one placement for like next, let's say 3 years. They can actually change companies or like firms or like wherever they work. And they need to complete 4 placements. But that's not it. So they also take courses online. So they have their academic curriculum. So they need to take courses and they need to pass those courses, but they do it online. Here at Griffith, we do it face-to-face. Well, they have slightly different setup. So the similar part, the common part is that our students and their students, they all work in the industry. So in our case, they work for 12 weeks at Charles Sturt University. They work for like almost 3 years there. So we work together and we want to find how students at Griffith and at Charles Sturt think about their placements and what the industry partners think about it. So you may ask me, well, there are actually like many work about WIL, and you're right. There is like plenty of literature. And what we've been doing in the past few weeks, we actually did some literature analysis, and we'll look at what has been done before in engineering and other disciplines, not only engineering, in different countries. So most of the work shows that these WIL placements, they're very effective. They're very good. Students gain lots of experience. Then it's easier for them to also find a job. But in most of the work that they did, they interviewed students, but they interviewed them after they actually finished their placement. So they will ask them questions like, what do you think about your industry placement? Did you develop certain skills? And things like that, right? And usually it's very positive. There are a few items that need to be also addressed. I'm not going to talk about them during today's presentation, so I'm just going to talk mostly about what we have done. But there is lots of literature, and we've been working on this, and we will still continue working on that. I just wanted to highlight a different part from the previous study, something that will sort of show that our study is slightly different from the previous studies. So in this slide, I would like to show objectives of our work. As already mentioned, we would like to investigate the students' perceptions of the industry. And also, on top of that, we would like to evaluate their skills and see how ready they're to actually take industry projects. So the main thing is that we are going to interview students before they do the placement. Of course, we're going to have like focus groups after the finish, so we will do that one as well. But I think the main part that we would like to focus and emphasize in our work, so we would like to see what students think before they actually start doing their placements. So also would like to talk to industry partners, those partners that host our students, and would like to see what our industry partners think about our students. If they're prepared, do they have certain skills required by the industry or not? Is there things to improve? If there is something different or something similar, something good and something bad. So this one will be also part of that one. And this is what we call to identify mismatches between students' expectations, their perceptions, and what industry actually thinks students need to develop while they're in uni. Then once we have analyzed this data, we can sort of establish areas where we can improve. So that's probably the major outcome of this work. We would like to see where we can improve in our program at Griffith, Charles Sturt University. And we also would like to report our findings nationally, so that academics from different unis, they can also learn our experience and see what they can do maybe to improve their students' experience with WIL. Methodology, first, of course, it goes with literature review. And as already mentioned before, we have gone through major papers, but there are so many, I think many people are doing WIL. There is even a journal which is called International Journal of Work Integrated Learning. Many academics and many students, this is a very popular program that was developed in Australia some time ago. So what we want to do, we want to see how other schools, engineering schools, and not only engineering, what they do, how they prepare their students for placements, if they graduate industry-ready students or not. So this is something that we would like to get from the literature. And we also want to see what other people have done in this area, what we've been doing. And I will show you a little bit later what other people have done. Okay, so that's the first part of our methodology. And then I think the major part is related to surveys. We would like to survey our students. So we'd like to survey them before they start their placement. In Griffith, we started just a few weeks ago, so we had to make it a little bit faster, our ethics approval and stuff like that, and prepare survey questions so that we can actually survey our students in the beginning of March. So before they actually go into their placement. So we do surveys before students do their placement. So this is online survey. And also when they finish at the end of trimester, usually after they finish and they're ready so that they don't have to write their like series after they finish their series, we plan to have focus groups where we interview students, and we would also ask them questions about their placements. So this part is not something new because, as already mentioned, many researchers, many academics have done something similar, but we still would like to do that because it's relevant to our program, what we're doing. So we want to see like if our students are happy what they have done and how we can improve what we've been doing here. So at the same time, at the end of trimester, we're going to interview our industry partners. So this is actually part of our course. As already mentioned that we have course at Griffith where we place students in the industry. And one of the items, assessment items, is that we ask our industry partners to evaluate students' performance. So we already have this one in place. We're going to maybe change a few questions a little bit, but we've been doing actually already for some time, and we already have some data that we can analyze right now, and I will show you a little bit more later. Okay, so that will be surveys of industry and the students. Then we're going to analyze the data. So, and then finally, we would like to write a research article or articles. It depends how much data we can obtain. So as already mentioned, we started at Griffith this survey because we started a bit earlier, our trimester. We already did ethics approval. We got Griffith University ethic clearance, and we did the same thing for Charles Sturt University, so we can actually run these surveys. So now I would like to talk a little bit about surveys, so what we put in the surveys. But before that, just a little bit from the past literature. Because one of the questions that we ask our students, how they feel they're prepared and if they developed skills and attributes. So we've done a little bit of research, and clearly students in different units and industry partners have been surveyed already. They already obtain a list of competencies. So this is work by Sally Mail and your co-authors, published in 2011 in Australasian Journal of Engineering Education. So in that work, they came up with a list of 64 generic competencies, the one from the literature, and then they ask engineers to rank them. I think, as far as I remember, it was mostly engineers from Western Australia. That's, I think, when the study took place. I think Sally used to work there. I used to work there, so I believe that. But there was, I think, about 300 industry partners who did this survey, which is a very big number, very good number. And this work shows that these generic competencies that we would expect from students after they graduate. This is just maybe top, I don't know, 15. You will see that one of the major one is communication, managing, again, communication, management, speaking, writing fluent English. So there is a list of 64. I'm not going to go through all of them, but these generic engineering competencies have been already identified, and they're also part of Engineers of Australia accreditation. So we need to actually graduate our students, and our students must show that actually they address all these competencies necessary for graduation. So it's already part in our program, but this slide just to show what has been done before. And very recent survey, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this one. So this one, I believe it was conducted by a private company, London Work Consulting. I'm not really sure if it's published yet or not, anyway, this is just a little bit to show you what kind of attributes that industry value, industry partners value. So in this case, it was again online survey, done recently. 68 responses from the industry were considered. So I think there were more, but some of them were not valid. And in this case, they just wanted to see what are those skills, attributes that industry expects from students, not only from Griffith students. This survey was across the whole country. So there was graduates from different universities. And I don't remember how many graduates were asked in the survey, but well, I just know that for the industry, there were 68 responses. I think there were more for graduates. So this one to show you sort of major attributes, important attributes that industry consider as very important. So the reason why I show it, we use it as kind of a base for our survey. So we'll look through these important attributes, and we change a few just a little bit, and we introduce maybe one or two new ones. But we want you to ask our students if they have developed these attributes while they were studying at Griffith or Chatsworth University. So we just wanted, that's why we chose these attributes. And I will show you later a student's response. So in this case, you'll see that what is important, discipline, specific body of knowledge. And what we look at these numbers 4 and 5. So what 4 stands for important, and this 5 stands for extremely important. So we mostly look at these numbers. So we just wanted to see what industry thinks is really important. This one, not important, that's just, I don't remember what it is, also probably not important, and this is neutral. So you will see that in the analysis I will show you later, we mostly look at 4 and 5. We sum up the percentage of from these two columns. So here, before going to next slide, you will see that you may be surprised, but motivation, industry sees motivation as very important. It says 47% of respondents said that this is really important, extremely important in the industry. So another thing which is important, you will see concern for safety. So this is extremely important. And things like communication skills, also pretty important. Another things like discipline-specific experience, you see like only 2% of respondents think it's actually important. I wanted to show you something like problem-solving skills, the one that we think, like academics think that that's what we need to develop in our students. The industry, when you ask industry people, they say that's not as important as motivation. So it has only 4% extremely important, and altogether will have only 13%. Okay, well, I'll talk a little bit more about it later on when I compare with our students' respondents. So this is where we took like most of our questions from. And we developed this survey. We used Microsoft Forms, so something that we can ask our students online. So survey was anonymous, so we didn't know the name of the students. We just know that these students, they take this course and they're in industry placement. So we sort of divided survey into 3 parts. First section, we just collected some basic information about students, demographic information, so their age and their disciplines and things like that. So in the second part of the survey, we wanted our students to comment on what they feel like if they have developed skills and attributes while being here at Griffith for almost 4 years. No, 3 years, like 3 full years. So we just wanted them to reflect on their skills and develop that they have developed. And in the third part of the survey, we wanted to actually see students' perceptions of industry. So we wanted to show them all those attributes that I just showed you before and ask them which one do you think is important. We just want our students to rank those attributes, and then we can compare them with the industry answers, like with their ranking. Okay. This is just example of some of the questions. We try to make it as easy as possible for students to complete. We try not to give them many open-end questions. And the questions we just gave them basically say like agree or like disagree. So we have this scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And these skills and attributes that we ask our students to reflect on and tell us if they have developed it to a certain level or not. This is just example that was in the form. So we asked them to, if they developed the ability to solve problems, develop hands-on engineering skills, develop technical knowledge, written communication skills, presentation skills, understanding of ethical conduct. And I think there are a few more, but I just couldn't put them all on one slide because otherwise the font will be too small for you to read. Just want to give you a taste of what was in the questions. Another question that we thought very important to ask our students is if they're actually ready to do the placement. So we rephrased this question, we put it in a way that, are you ready to do an IP project? The reason why we did this, even though I told you that we try to place all our students in the industry, it's not possible all the time. So because we may not have enough industry projects or placements for, let's say, more than 100 students. So some of the students, they will still do a project at Griffith, what we called safety net project or simulation, when we try to simulate industry experience at Griffith. So we try to have this type of projects as small number as possible. We try to place all our students in the industry, but it's just not technically possible like every year, just too many students, and we don't have that exact number of industry projects. That's why the question will ask, are you ready to do an IP project, which means that industry placement and something industry related project, but not done exactly in the industry, but there will be some industry engagement. And on top of that, we ask them, why do you feel this way? So we just want to see like if a student is ready or not, and if they're not ready, why they're not ready. This one, section 3, when we ask our students to rank these skills and attributes. So 1, top will be most important and 10 will be least important. And I already showed you that survey, that recent survey, and I showed you already what industry people think about it. So we basically took like those skills and attributes from that survey, those competencies, and put them here. So we put them in alphabetical order, and we'll ask students to rank it. So see which one they think is really important. And remember, the students, they haven't done their placement yet. So they still don't know what is important, I believe, or maybe they already know. So we're going to find it out. So we just want to ask them before they actually go into placement. So these are the major things: communication skills, concern for safety, design skills, discipline-specific knowledge, hands-on experience, skills, motivation, and so on. Okay, so so far we started our project. So the results, it's just our first results, preliminary results. We're gonna survey students in different trimesters. We started in trimester 1. So in trimester 1, we have the largest number is from civil engineering. So you will see that later on. I'll show you slide here in the slide. You will see that 22 students. So altogether, 40 students answered the survey. We didn't give them any incentives because we can't really give them incentives because then we know who actually did the survey and we cannot keep it anonymous. So, well, we just send them reminders, a few reminders, and we hope that this survey would be also some benefit to our students, maybe not to this cohort of students, but next year. So, and I think we got 40 students who responded out of, I would say, a little bit more than 100 students. So that's not that bad. Well, we always hope for better numbers, but 40 students, I thought that was a good number to start with. We are going to do this survey in trimester 2. In trimester 2, we mostly have electrical students and mechanical students, so we can also hear from them. In trimester 1, we have mostly civil and environmental. So you see here 22 students. Well, in Griffith, engineering is still like man-dominant profession. We have 31 males who answered, 9 females. On average, we have about maximum 20, like not maximum, like about 20% female students and most of the male students. So that actually, well, that's what we expected. And a few more things from the survey. I also ask our students if they're domestic students, so it's they have permanent residency, so maybe Australian, New Zealand, or permanent resident, or international students. And here actually we notice that like almost the same number of domestic and international students. So actually in engineering degree, we have a good number of international students at Griffith. We have this 2+2 program where students do 2 years in their country and then they come to Griffith and do 2 years with us. So these students, international students, they also do this industry placement. So, and we also have a good number of master students. So they also, like most of them, they also do this industry placement. They also from other countries. There's a few insights that I got from those forms. So in this case, most of female, they were from civil and environmental. Well, that's what expected because most of civil and environmental students doing this this placement this semester. So we will see in trimester 2 because we have different disciplines. If what is the ratio there? And another thing that I would like to highlight and maybe briefly discuss here that most of domestic students, they actually have had some industry experience before. One of the questions that we asked them as well was, have you had any internship or any industry experience prior to this course? And most of domestic students, they said yes. So it's not part of the, well, it's sort of part of the degree, but not directly. So they always encourage in the second, third year to go and find internship and work somewhere in the industry to gain some experience because they need 60 days of industry experience to graduate from this program. So most of the students, domestic students, they said that yes, they've done this. When I look at the responses from international students, some of them, they didn't have this experience, so they didn't have industry experience prior to taking this course. This is the data we're still analyzing, so that's when we ask our students so that they can evaluate the skills and attributes that they have developed in the past 3 years. So you will see that, well, I was very happy to see that they think that like our students think that they've developed all these important skills. You will see that dark blue means strongly agree, light blue means agree, and this is overwhelming percentage of students saying that yes, they feel like they developed the ability to solve problems. A little bit less, but again, a good number say they have hands-on engineering skills and they have very good technical knowledge. So this is actually like very good data that we see from our students. That's what we would like to see. Ideally, we would like to see that everybody say yes, but it's not possible in real life. So there will be always students that maybe question themselves, or maybe they really believe that they didn't develop the skills, they didn't have a chance, or maybe they didn't use the chance to develop the skills. So we still have students who would say strongly disagree and disagree. So this is red and orange. So disagree. You will see that probably the best one would be solving, ability to solve problems. Another good thing, ability to work as a team. So even though they're not in placement yet, but they already have these good skills according to themselves. They have a good contribution. They understand what engineers do for society. And the only competencies, I believe, that our students not really looks like they didn't develop much. It's understand the impact of my work in the context of First Nations and Indigenous Australians. We put this question, it wasn't in the survey that I showed you before that they did last year. So we just wanted to see if what we're doing in our units enough to provide students with this knowledge and expertise or skills. And looks like this is something that we should probably work on more. So, and something that maybe we should incorporate in our curriculum. So talk more about Indigenous perspectives. So something that, even though like many students say agree, strongly agree, still I think this will be the area for improvement in the future. Okay, I have probably another 5-10 minutes. This one is ranking. So these are the skills and attributes that were highlighted in the report last year by industry partners. So the one that we ask our students to rank according to the importance. So the one on the top, it's the that students think most important, and at the bottom they see less important. So I'll talk a little bit more about it in my preview in my next slide. So just to show that our students believe that communication skills will be important in the industry. Concern for safety, also very important. I'm not sure if we teach much of this one. I mean, we do have lots of modules on safety and for laboratory and field work. So this is where probably it comes from. This is good. They also think that problem solving skills also would be important. And then you can go down, 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 down. Maybe the only thing that I would like to emphasize here, motivation. Remember that motivation was #1 item for industry partners. For students, it's more at the bottom of the skills that they think the most important in the industry. And another thing, what we did, because we provided them with list of 10 skills and attributes, we wanted to ask our students if something is missing. We didn't want to make a very long list and ask our students to go with list of 20 items, because students would get a little bit bored. So we asked them a question. So is there something that is missing on the list? Some other skills or attributes that you think will be important? Most of them said no, nope. Then, well, this is the kind of response that I think our students think that these 10 skills will be, most of the students think that these 10 skills, this is really important, and that's what they should develop. This is a little bit of comparisons. We tried to do it last week because we just got data just 2 weeks ago. We wanted to compare ranking of our Griffith students. So this is first column. So that's what I showed you in the previous slides. Communication skills, concern of safety. And compare it with the industry partners ranking, the one from the survey that did nationally last year. As already mentioned, we use extremely important. We rank it according to the percentage in the final column, extremely important. And then important plus extremely important, that column 4 and plus column 5. So according to this one, we did ranking, that's from the industry. And just want to compare, you see that communication skills and concern of safety, they're kind of on the top of priority for students and the industry. Problem solving skills, as already mentioned, industry doesn't really think that's as important as other attributes. Our students at Griffith think this is really important thing. So this is something that they need to develop. So this is one of the mismatches that we're trying to identify. Most of the other items kind of more or less like about the same. I mean, like teamwork, leadership, students think it's number 4. Industry says it's 5 or like 1. I mean, well, to some extent, well, we still like need to consider if it's like very similar or it's like different. So I think the one that I would like to highlight for this particular presentation, it's this motivation. So motivation, students rank it as number 8, when industry think it's really top thing that students should have when they go to the industry. So this is probably a second mismatch that we should address and see what we can do in our program and how we can maybe develop such attributes as motivation. You see that design skills that we probably think that students, we need to teach the students how to do design skills. Well, industry and students themselves don't think this is really important in the industry. So I think overall students have a good idea. So most of the skills and attributes they ranked, they are pretty similar to what industry partners did, except a few mismatches. And this is something that we're going to focus more on our study as we continue. Another thing that we just started doing that, but again, this is work in progress. We got some feedback from industry partners. As I said, that we get this feedback each trimester as part of the assessment item at Griffith University. I try to play with the comments. Again, well, this is, we just started. I'm going to show you some just preliminary data. I put them in software to find the most important concepts and how they link to each other. When I read the comments, most of the comments of the industry from previous years, not from this year. We haven't got for this year yet. From previous years, industry partners are very happy with our students, but there are a few things that they would like us to address. So again, as I mentioned, work in progress. And before I finish, I would like to show, because this grant, this work is for 1 year. Up to now, we've done a literature review and we've done already a survey at Griffith University for trimester 1. In June, we are going to have focus group interviews with students after they finish their placement. We'd like to ask them questions about their placements, what they developed, and what they think about attributes, skills, and like skills and attributes that are actually important after they have already gained some industry experience. We do the same thing, we repeat the same thing in July at Griffith. Trimester 2, we have new cohorts of students from different disciplines. And we start survey at Charles Sturt University because that's when they start their program. October, when we finish our second trimester, we do the same thing. We have interviews with students, interview industry partners. Then we are going to collect the data November, December, do some analysis and write a paper and present it at a conference. Well, that's it for my presentation. Thanks for listening to it. And because I'm also the chair, I'm going to act as a chair, and I'm going to ask you if you have any questions. And let's see what you have in the chat. Anybody would like to ask any questions? I'm going through the chart. I use switch my view. Oh, I didn't see comments from Sarah that you could see only presenter view. Oh, sorry.
No problem. So I just posted there about the details about the surveys. So it's it's Helen Fairweather from Engineers Australia. So
yeah, thanks, Helen, for doing that. That actually came from you. I didn't want to reveal your name, so
yeah, that's all right. Yeah, no, that data isn't published yet, so
yeah, that's why I didn't want to talk much. I just wanted to show like where we took our kind of like base of our survey from. So it's not like just from like nowhere. We actually like link it to the previous studies. That's what I wanted to emphasize.
Yeah, and that's terrific, Ivan. I think that's going to be really important. And I thought your results, particularly around the Indigenous knowledge, is really quite timely. It was brought up at ACED, and which was last week, and we're revising the stage 1 competencies. And do we need to be more explicit in the competencies?
Well, I think we should do, and actually we're trying to do it here at Griffith. So we try to bring it to our civil engineering curriculum. So this Indigenous perspectives, we have another grant that we work on. That's why we wanted to ask our students, because we don't have much information how much they know about that. So that's why we wanted to include that question, even though at first it wasn't there. But I think it was Saeed who brought it up, and he said, let's also include this question in the survey.
That's great.
And then we thought, yeah, this is really a good idea, because I'm also part of like another work. So that's why I wanted to kind of link this together a little bit and see if what we have done it's sufficient. But we do actually a lot here. We have Jennifer. Jen, she's part of this community, Indigenous community, and Jennifer Campbell. And she actually works very hard in this direction. So we work together for civil discipline, because I'm part of civil. We also do it in architecture. So it's at Griffith, we also try to bring this Indigenous perspectives to different disciplines that we teach at Griffith. But clearly we can do probably more. And
so there is also an A squared E squared funded project looking at Indigenous knowledge.
Yeah. So yeah, I think 2 weeks ago I was at another meeting presenting my work, and they talk about that one. They collaborate. I think we have Jen from Griffith, and I think they have also two from, I think it's from Sydney University.
Melbourne.
Sorry, Melbourne. Yeah. So they actually work on that. So they got 20K for that. And they also just started. So we actually started at the same time. So we started in the beginning of this year.
Good. Yeah. Okay. And will you ask that same question of industry?
Industry about Indigenous perspectives. Well, we didn't think about it for industry, to be honest. Sorry. Just, like you have some idea, and then you try to do it, and then like you get really good results, and we're like, how come we didn't think about it before? So it wasn't in our plan, because we can probably like when we have interviews with industry, but it's not in part of our survey form to ask industry that one. But that actually would be like a good thing to do. That would be like a good thing to ask. We just didn't really think through, like when we design, we just focus mostly on the skills and attributes, which are kind of like very common, like generic ones. So, and I think that kind of didn't occur to us then, but we're not done.
Could I ask a
Yeah.
a couple of things, Ivan. I thought that was
Yeah.
really interesting. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Just on that last topic, the kind of indigenous perspectives or indigenizing the curriculum, or however you want to refer to it. So the limited teaching I do is into planning, urban planning, and that has been something that the Planning Institute of Australia, which accredits our planning degrees, planners aren't registered in the same way as engineers are, so it's not quite as strict, but the Planning Institute has been pushing accredited planning degrees across Australia to pay more attention to bringing Indigenous perspectives into the curriculum for the last 5 or 6 years, and which is good. It's fantastic. It's challenging, and at the moment, I would say one of the issues is staffing. I mean, you mentioned Jen Campbell, who I know is fantastic. Sometimes you can get into a bit of a trap, and I've heard colleagues say this, that anything about Indigenous content has got to be taught by Indigenous people, and we haven't got any, so we can't do it, which I think is a pretty spurious argument myself. But I mean, there are some things that you go, yeah, if it's a course on, I don't know, Indigenous history and culture, then it's probably best if it's taught by an Indigenous person. But other areas, I don't think it has to be, and I think that can be a bit of a cop-out. So I think it might, sorry, and a related point, I suppose, is whether you do much on interprofessional working. I say that because I'm working on an ARC linkage project where we're looking at how the different built environment professions, planning, architecture, engineering, real estate, not really a profession, but work together to ensure building integrity. And so that whole issue about working with other professions, I think is important, and I think there's always room to do more there, because sometimes there's a tendency to stay in our silos, and it's sometimes you guys, you go, I'm a civil, I don't even speak to the mechanicals or the electricals, let alone to anyone outside engineering. You go, well, when you get out there, you're going to be talking to planners, you're going to be talking to architects on a professional basis, so get ready and get used to it. The final thing I just say is one course that I teach, which is called Planning Theory and Practice, which can be very dry and tedious for students. So I put a lot of emphasis on the practice and bring practitioners in. And I don't know to what extent you bring practitioners in so that the students get, if you like, kind of on-campus experience of engaging with practitioners. But I also try and encourage my students into this notion of being a reflective practitioner. And that's an attitude that I try and, I mean, my course is a second year course for undergrad, so we try and instill that in them from an early stage, that they should be constantly thinking about their practice in a critical way, including when they go off and do, in planning we call it a practicum placement, but it's the equivalent of yours. So yeah, you don't just go off and have some work experience and come back and that's the end of it, but you're thinking about what you've learned and how you integrate perhaps the more theoretical stuff that we're often good at teaching with the kind of realities of professional life. So trying to get them to become reflective practitioners from an early, well, not necessarily an early age, but an early stage in their career.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, for your comments. Regarding the first comment about Indigenous people who would teach Indigenous curriculum, I think, like, the way I see, like, you're right. So I think it would be better if we have Indigenous people who actually will talk about the experience. So what we do in some of the courses, I mean, mostly in civil engineering, we have connections with Indigenous engineers, and then we just invite them to give guest lectures. We also ask them to help us to develop some, let's say, modules and assessment items that they don't have to teach. We can sort of develop it by ourselves, but that will be related to Indigenous perspectives. So that's something that us, because we're not from indigenous community, we can also deliver it. But when it comes down to like indigenous people talking about indigenous culture, I think we should bring somebody from actually indigenous community, because then like myself talking about this one, I don't think it just right. It's like the way I see it. So, but we have Jen, and Jen connects us to people in the community, which is very good.
Yeah.
And your
I mean,
second,
just on that, I think, yeah, the kind of corollary of that sometimes is like you get, you know, it's great you got Jen. The danger is of kind of burnout, that like everything and anything to do with anything indigenous, they go, oh, I'm going
I
to
think
Jen, and poor old Jen gets utterly overwhelmed.
yeah,
You know,
I think she's
you know,
actually like,
I just want to talk about engineering. Don't come and keep asking me questions about what it's like to be indigenous. You know, so I think we have to be a bit careful sometimes in that respect.
And just like quickly referring to a second comment, yeah, we place our students in the industry, and then they work actually in the industry, in the company, under the supervision of engineer, but we also give them academic supervisor who will actually help them like doing the theoretical things. You know, it's not only just like they like gain experience how to do the stuff, but we also ask them to collect and analyze data, compare it, let's say do like literature review, something that we would expect from a uni graduate, not just, you know, from industry experience. Yeah. A question from Cesar, you want to ask a question?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It was very, very interesting, very relevant. I wonder how students develop their expectations, right? My immediate answer would be, well, we teach them, right? We teach them those expectations in the way we teach, through our content, through the experiences we design for them. They develop, at least in part, the expectations, right? How would you make a connection then between the results you're getting and the way these students have been taught and the content they have been exposed to, right? Because at the end of the day, perhaps your results should speak to us, right? What we are teaching and how we are teaching it, because perhaps for universities, the aspiration would be those expectations will be aligned, right? If I've done my job right, students and industry should be expecting the same things when they graduate. And if there's a mismatch, as you demonstrated in your research, then how we reflect, we as universities reflect about that. So what can you say about that, the development of expectations and the role that we universities play in generating them?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. Thanks for asking this one. So, well, we teach students, and then we just ask them if they actually have developed the skills or not, right? Because we kind of expect them to develop certain type of skills, and that's embedded in our programs, right? And so I think one of the reasons why we want to do this project is we want to, even though we teach them, we want to see, first of all, if they actually develop these skills and attributes. And also we want to see that maybe what we teach is not sufficient enough. You know, this kind of, we want to get some feedback from the industry as well. So we see that industry thinks, well, this is very important skills, but your students, even though like you teach them this, or maybe like you don't even teach them this, maybe you don't focus, maybe like you focus like too much on problem solving skills. Instead of that, maybe in your program, in some of your courses, maybe you should actually try to focus on something more relevant to the industry. So this is something that we want you to identify as a difference between what we teach and our students think that they developed industry. And then after that, once we identify this one, we're going to talk to our head of school and see where we can maybe try to improve, try to maybe develop certain skills that are kind of missing, or maybe students don't feel very comfortable about it. Maybe in some of the courses, so like we would like to introduce like maybe special modules or something like that. So that was the kind of point. So once we identify, we're going to go back to, let's say, our senior staff and tell them, or like just discuss with our colleagues and say, look, guys, we maybe focus too much on this one, but industry would like to see more in this direction, right? So what can we do? And we have a head of disciplines. We can talk to head of disciplines, head of schools, and then try to just not change our curriculum, because I think our curriculum is very good, but make some like changes, I'm not sure, minor, like moderate changes in some of the maybe courses or the way that we deliver it, or maybe even develop additional resources for students that they will develop the skills and attributes before they graduate.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Well, if no more questions, thanks everybody for attending this presentation. I hope it was interesting to you. If you have any just comments, suggestions, questions, please feel free to contact me or Said. Said is here today as well. We have a research team. Unfortunately, some of them were either traveling to India or they just teaching or busy, so they couldn't like all of them attend. Sorry for that, but we just wanted to share what we have done in this grant and get some feedback from you, so that when we continue with this work, we can shape it and like make it a little bit better. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Ivan. Great.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, have a nice day and bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.